Hello, everybody. Welcome to session 2. Thank you for posting about yourselves in the discussion board in session 1. It was great to get to know all of you. You should have turned in your diagnostic essay that was assigned in session 1 by midnight yesterday. And then the data sheet, I think, was the only other assignment that you had to do for this week. So hopefully you've gotten both of those things turned in and you're ready to move on to session 2. Session 2 is about writing illustration essays. So let's just jump into it real quick and talk a little bit about what is an illustration. So an illustration is just a concrete example or story that you use to help your readers understand a concept that is unfamiliar or kind of abstract or difficult. If you've ever been to church, preachers love to use illustrations or examples in their sermons to help you understand a concept that they're talking about. My dad was a minister growing up at several different small rural congregations in New Mexico, and as he was preparing for his sermons, he would often ask us to go look through the Reader's Digest magazine because we didn't have internet back then, and so we had all of these Reader's Digests on a shelf in our house, and he would say, go find me an illustration about self-sacrifice. And so then myself and my siblings would go get the Reader's Digest off the shelves and try to do our best to find a story that helped illustrate the concept that he was talking about that week. And sometimes we were successful and sometimes we weren't, but it was great practice to understand finding a good example of an abstract concept. So illustration, as I just said, is just a fancy word for an example. This week you have an assignment to begin working on your thesis for the illustration essay and begin thinking about what you want to do for that. And your topic has been picked for you. So we're going to talk about pre-writing and picking a topic here in a little bit and developing a topic. But it's nice because you have one step of developing an essay that's been kind of taken out and done for you. So your assignment is that you are going to pick a fruit of the Spirit from Galatians 5:22 through 23 and write an illustration about that fruit of the Spirit. And the only one that you cannot pick is love, because that is the example that has been done for you in the lecture and in the supplemental materials online. And then I'm also going to use love to just go through some of the pre-writing exercises and help you understand how to develop a thesis for your illustration essay. Okay, so pre-writing. So pre-writing is really important to the process of writing your essay, and your book starting on page 88, which is part of the reading for this week, gives you a whole bunch of ideas about how to pre-write and start generating ideas. So if you were trying to come up with an idea for this essay just out of your brain, no guidance, anything like that, you might do something like free writing, where you just sit down at your computer or with a pen and paper and time yourself for 10 minutes and just start writing to come up with some kind of topic or what you're thinking about. You can also brainstorm, which is just sitting down, again, putting on a timer for 5 or 10 minutes and just listing everything that comes into your head that might be a topic for an essay. But as you know, I've said, your topic has already been decided. So we can skip that part of coming up with an essay and go on to the next part, which is narrowing your topic. So peace, joy, all of that, huge topics. I mean, there's so many things that you could write about that, so many ways that you could approach it. So I'm going to take you through a little exercise to help you kind of narrow down your topic. So I'm using, again, love. And that's what's an example has been given on your lecture materials as well. So you can kind of see the way that that was developed. And then this is going to be just a little bit different way, the way that I like to develop ideas for my writing. So the first thing that you're going to do now that you've picked your fruit of the Spirit is I can't get my paper separated here. You're going to make a branch diagram. So you're going to put your topic on one side of the paper, and then you're going to just start listing out all of these different aspects of love, or whatever your fruit of the Spirit is. So on mine, I'm kind of making ideas: love, fruit of the Spirit, Jesus, and then I have some little branches coming off of Jesus, how he showed loves, fed crowds, healed people, died on the cross. And then I've got love connected to people down here, and just started thinking about people that I feel like show love in my life. So like my grandma, my mom, my husband, my kids. And then with my grandma, I kind of developed a little more off of her family, friends, and animals, how she shows love to each of those. So go ahead and pause the video for a little bit and try to do a branch diagram. Again, this is on that page 88 to 94 of your reading. So if you need to look in your book to see what that looks like, you can do that as well. And just take 5 or 10 minutes to pause and create a branch diagram about the fruit of the Spirit that you have chosen as your topic. Okay, so now you're back. Well, what do you do next? Well, a great way to continue developing your topic, you look at your branch diagram, and in mine, I had the most generated was kind of branching down through my grandma. So I'm going to pick grandma as my example, or what I'm going to write about to illustrate the idea of love. And so I started writing down some questions. What shows love, or who? How do they show love? And this is my little question sheet. You can see I have my questions over here on this side. Who receives love from them or her, and what actions show love. So then I answer all my questions on this side about my grandma, and I have always makes meals to get family together, supportive of goals, gives great hugs, prays for us, checks on her friends, when they're sick or can't drive, gentle with animals, dogs get fancy food. I just listed a bunch of stuff that she does to show love. So I have 3 categories in here that are developing that I can use as illustrations about how my grandma shows love. And that's to her family, to her friends, and to her animals. All right. So then I have to so why don't you go ahead and pause and try to do some questioning and answering. Try to do that for about 10 or 15 minutes as well. And then when you come back, we'll move on with the next step. Okay, next step. So we're still talking about grandma. So I need to write 3, now that I have my information, I've narrowed my topic, I've asked myself some questions, hopefully I've been able to pick out some categories from that I can use to develop my thesis. And so now I'm going to write 3 assertions, or in the illustration essay in your book, they call them generalizations about my grandma. So I wrote, love is shown best to me through the actions of my grandma. Assertion number 2, when I think of love, the way that my grandma lives her life stands out. Assertion number 3, my grandma embodies love in the way she treats her family, her friends, and her animals. So this last one is really what I want. It's really specific. It focuses my essay. It lets my reader know the 3 things that I'm going to share with them that illustrate the concept of love through looking at my grandma. Okay, So stop and write 3 assertions, and then what you'll need to do after that is develop that assertion, word it just right, make sure it's specific, make sure it focuses your essay, and then that is what you are going to submit to me for your assignment is your working thesis for your illustration essay. So you can go ahead and pause and work on that a little bit. Okay, so the last things I want to say to you after you have done all of that is the way that I presented this information is a little bit different. I looked at a person who illustrated the concept of love to me. The organizer online that you can look at just took love as a concept itself and then talked about 3 ways that love is shown. I was self-sacrifice, kindness, and there was one more I can't remember right now, but you can look on that organizer and see the 3 concepts and how that author chose to illustrate that concept in their essay. So it's great to take a look at that as well, and you can approach it that way if you want. And then the last thing that I wanted to remind you is that you cannot do outside research for this essay. There's a lot about MLA documentation and plagiarism and things like that that we have not talked about at all in this class yet. And so you don't want to use outside sources because you don't know how to cite those yet, and you're going to end up accidentally plagiarizing someone. So all of this needs to come from your own brain. And another thing that you need to do is whatever concept, whatever fruit of the Spirit you choose, you need to take that and develop your own definition of what peace or joy or kindness or gentleness or whatever you pick means. And so you cannot go to the dictionary and copy the dictionary description of what that means. So you'll need to develop your own definition, your own idea of what that is. So then you can look at the proper illustrations to explain that concept to your readers.